Welcome to Best Fictional Friends, a podcast about fictional characters but real feelings.
I'm your best friend, Sarah Freshley, who will always tell you if you have something in your teeth or, I don't know, if a fly lands on your head during the vice presidential debate.
I'm your best friend, Casey Goldstein, who could finally stop asking you if you have a plan to vote.
And I'm your best friend, Brittany Weissler, who thinks that town who voted a dog as mayor had the right idea.
You're not wrong.
Any town that votes an animal as a politician probably is doing better than the rest of us.
Does he sign things with a paw print stamp? Because that would be adorable.
His name is Duke, and he's mayor for life, which unfortunately is probably much more tragic than it sounds.
Yeah.
There's actually a bunch of them. There's literally a Wikipedia page about animals that have been elected to office.
Wow.
So I understand that, a dog isn't going to be able to do much as mayor anyway, but a cat sounds way more chaotic as mayor.
Or, have you ever seen the cats that live in bookstores or, Bodega Cat?
Oh my gosh.
They're pretty chill.
Well, yeah.
They're pretty awesome.
Speaking of, I'm getting a political call right now.
Why? It's November 4th.
Yeah, politics is over
don't know.
after midnight last night. Surely.
Or something.
Surely all the politics have happened now.
And man, do we have strong feelings one way or another.
Yeah. Parting the kimono a little bit because you guys are probably hearing some weird sounds behind me. I, Casey, am currently in a hotel, and we are currently recording from 3 different time zones.
Yeah.
So if you guys hear any weird knocking or air vents, just know.
Honestly, that's par for the course probably for us.
Yeah,
true. Also that.
It's like a cat clawing my leg or a
Squeaky
siren
chair.
behind me because Very sorry for you guys.
Yeah. Don't worry, I don't sit in that chair anymore. It's dead to me.
So this week, or this episode, we are doing, I'll just give you the description of the category. They have powers of destruction that threaten the human world's social and moral order.
Yikes.
It's politicians.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I did not see your actual definition until now.
I was like, should I have gotten a superhero or supervillain, actually? It sounded a little bit more villainous.
Tomato,
Right?
Yeah, I didn't want you guys to see my definition until right now. That was very much on purpose. But yeah, so we are doing politicians. They have to be fictional, so we can't, reach into the wonderful world of real life politics, where I'm sure we would all have so many desirable friends.
We're taking a break from real life.
They have to be a politician.
Oh yeah, we would have so many. Oh man.
Darn.
Oh, if only. Yeah, what do you want in your elected friend?
Okay, so for elected friend, I want somebody who I can at least a little bit stand by whatever platform they're running on, because while it is, you just want to be friends with this person, it's not about work. When they're trying to be elected to something, when they're running for something, that's bound to come up quite a bit, even in your friendship. So if we could be on the fundamentals on the same page, that would be great. And then also if they've got time still to hang, because best friends, and I know you're busy.
Right.
This is probably, of the best friend category, is going to be one of the busiest other person that we're trying to be best friends with, but we still need to kick it sometimes.
I think of the categories that we've done so far and those that we have sort of in the pipeline, this is definitely the least sidekicky best friend possible, because as a whole,
good point.
We would be the sidekicks, more or less. I agree with those. I want that to be a good person. Take that for what you want as far as, agreeing and disagreeing. I wanted to be able to trust them with my nuclear codes.
Right.
Kind of thing. My final one is that they understand that sometimes compromises are needed to be made, and they are also aware of when they should not be made. They need to know when they have to dig their heels in and stand firm in their beliefs. And sort of to Sarah's point about wanting to agree on the fundamentals, I think that being friends with somebody of a different political affiliation than you is wonderful. I don't think that just because you have different beliefs, you inherently cannot be friends. However, a politician who has strong enough political beliefs to run for politics, that is going to be such a fundamental part of who they are. And if they agree with you on those fundamentals, then that removes a layer of having to fake certain things in the friendship. And also, if they agree with you on the fundamentals but disagree with you publicly, meaning that they have one thought in your friendship, I want them to be genuinely who they are, both on the, political trail and in our friendship. So if they say have views about being pro-choice in discussions that we have one-on-one, but then turn it into a political campaign to end women's rights or people's rights to abortion, that is a hypocrite that I don't want to be my friend. I think that's why with this politician friend, us saying like we want to agree, it's not us saying that we want to agree with every single friend we have. Like having
we don't want
friends
a yes
of different
man, but yeah.
No, and I don't think that's
I want somebody I can
somebody who
vote for because I want to vote for my best friend. I don't want to vote for the other person. So I'd like to agree on enough and to see their vision as well.
Yeah, you guys kind of covered. I just can't be a jerk. I think a lot of politicians are jerks in their personal life because you have to be kind of pushy to sometimes get what you want, and to push things through whatever your policies are. But just don't be a jerk. I want you to actually want to help people. I don't want you to just be power grabbing or money hungry. And I want you to say what you mean most of the time. Yes. I understand people might change their minds on certain things, but I don't want constantly you to lie to my face or to mislead me and think, of course I'll do this thing for you. And like, nah, I totally had a secret alliance with these other politicians.
Intellectual honesty.
Yes.
Could I go first with my contenders? I'm really excited.
Absolutely.
Sure.
I don't have any because most fictional politicians are the fucking worst.
That's so true. Mine are like kind of, but they would never be my best
I think I
pick.
got two decent ones.
Okay.
So I went with...
I just wanted to go first.
Love it.
Out of the way.
I went with the mayor of Portland in Portlandia.
I forgot about him.
Right?
He's so good.
I've not seen much of Portlandia, so I think I probably wouldn't have picked him anyways, but in prepping for this, I was like, oh yeah.
He's so good. He like goes to brunch with you.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I've only ever seen Portlandia at Brittany's house, but what I have seen of, the mayor would be good.
Yeah, he's a little goofy, but his heart's in the right place.
I like his assistant is the real life mayor.
Yes,
or was at the time.
I didn't know
He's not
that
anymore, but
That's so fun.
when I'd watched it, but when I was like looking it up and everything, I saw that. I thought that was cool. And then my other one was Tom Kirkman from Designated Survivor, which, to be fair, I think I've only seen the half of the first season. Wasn't my kind of show, but he seemed like an alright guy, and I wanted to have more than one contender.
Kiefer Sutherland?
Yes.
Yes.
24? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I haven't seen that. My parents tried to get me to watch it, and then I feel like it was already canceled.
Yeah, I'm not big into political dramas.
Yeah, this was hard for me because of that as well. Yeah. So yeah, I have President Whitmore from Independence Day. Bill Pullman is like little Brittany had a crush on Bill Pullman super hard because of this. President Marshall from Air Force One, Harrison Ford. Both of them are just kind of kick-ass presidents that are going to do what needs to be done when the chips are down, which is kick the ass of aliens or terrorists, whatever's in front of them. Okay, and then I have the mayor from Powerpuff Girls. I don't think he'd be a great friend. He's a little irresponsible, but he's nice and he means well for the most part. I have two that are kind of terrible, but if it was just like kicking it, like you guys are just going to get drunk and party, they would probably be good. I have President Dwayne Alonzo Mountain Dew Herbert Camacho from Idiocracy.
Oh.
Sure.
Oh,
I've seen it.
You've never seen Idiocracy?
No, I've seen it, I think, like twice. But I just forgot about that.
It's Terry Crews and his best role.
Yeah.
Yeah. Peak Terry Crews.
It's just him, like, flexing in sweatpants that have the American flag on it all the time. I think it's a very funny movie, but of the people in that world, President Camacho seemed like an all right guy. And then President Zaphod Beeblebrox from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. He would honestly be a horrible friend, but that's because he I think, cut out part of his brain so that he could get elected as president of the universe to see who's really pulling the strings. Because he knows that whoever's president, it's always like a reality TV star, which unfortunately is reality copies fiction, or what is the phrase?
Than I want it to be.
But yeah, so he does something to his own brain so that he is just a wild and crazy guy, which makes him honestly like kind of a bad friend. But if you just want to kick it, he'd be great. And then lastly, I have somebody who I was considering very heavily as my champion, was Sheriff Andy Taylor from the Andy Griffith show. I have no idea why I didn't even realize his name wasn't Andy Griffith in the show. They named the show after the actor and not the character. Like, that is the most wild thing to me. I don't understand why you would do that, but he's a great father. He is understanding. Like, everybody in the town of Mayberry loves him. Everybody loves Don Knotts. Why wouldn't you want to hang out in Mayberry? Those are who I would possibly choose, but they aren't who I chose.
Who did you choose?
I would like to lead off. Champion time.
Dun, dun, dun.
I chose Sheriff Keith Mars from Veronica Mars. So, played by Enrico Coltellini. I'm not going to pronounce his last name right.
Calatoni?
Calatoni. I thought it was Colatoni. Is it Calatoni?
The Veronica Mars podcast I've been listening to says Calatoni. So
then
if they're
Enrico
wrong...
Calatoni. Oh, played by that actor who's in a bunch of other fun things as well. But Keith Mars is the father of main character Veronica Mars. He is the former and occasionally returning sheriff in Neptune, California. Keith is a single father who runs Mars investigations as a private eye during the majority of the series. He was recalled as sheriff after the death of Lily Kane, which is the entire premise of the first season, wherein he accused Lily Kane's father as being the culprit. Subsequently, his family is ostracized by the community. His wife develops a drinking problem and then leaves him to raise their only daughter alone. For personality types, Myers-Briggs, I have ISFJ, known as the Defender, which I just thought seemed fitting.
Yeah.
He has great analytical abilities because he's got to track down people all the time as a private eye. He's got to put together clues to figure out what happened when people hire him to do stuff. He's actually really sensitive too. Like, he's really caring and also kind of goes out of his way to like, he honestly wants to help people. That is very clear in everything he does, is that he doesn't take cases that he thinks are ethically wrong. They might be legally gray areas, but he never takes anything where he thinks that he is in the wrong and that he's a bad person for taking that case, for the most part. He's receptive to new ideas. He's willing to like try new things. Astrological sign, I have no idea if he actually has a birthday in the show. I couldn't find it. If I'm just guessing on traits again, I'm going to pick Capricorn. It's the goat. It's an earth sign. They're supposed to be steadfast for long-term goals, which I thought was great for stakeouts. Like, he sometimes just got to sit in a car and wait for somebody to leave a building to take some pictures. They can sometimes be seen as mischievous, which he is, kind of skirting the law sometimes as a PI, as well as his playful relationship with his daughter, Veronica.
Who's your daddy?
Ugh, I hate it when you say that.
You know what? This is important. You remember this. I used to be cool.
When?
77. Trans Am, Blue Oyster Cult, and the A-Track, a foxy stacked blonde riding shotgun, racing for pink slips. Now, wait a minute. I'm thinking of a Springsteen song. Scratch everything. I was never cool.
I don't know which bothers me more, foxy or stacked.
I nailed our bail jumper 100 yards from Mexico. $2,500. No sack dinners tonight. Tonight, we eat like the lower middle class to which we aspire. Fire up the bocce!
And they're supposed to be great leaders, which as sheriff, you can kind of see the couple times he becomes sheriff again, or is interim sheriff, that the department really flourishes under him. Like, the people, like, they believe in their leader. Sorting Hat, I had actually a little bit of a harder time with that one. I went with Gryffindor in the end because I thought bravery, kind of like he shows himself in the line of fire that he is going to put himself in harm's way to help whoever. And then D&D alignment, neutral good, because he wants to uphold the law, but at the same time, he's going to do what's right, regardless of whether that is necessarily the law or not. Traits that make him a best friend, I think he's just super witty. He's like a funny guy that they have real, like him and Veronica have amazing banter. That's like all of Rob Thomas's shows are kind of about the relationships between people and how they interact. He's got great taste in food. They're always eating like takeout or getting steaks or getting like pizza and ice cream. You guys know food is very important. Stomach is the way to the heart. I like that he's really protective of the people he cares about. There are times in the show where he almost dies trying to protect the people he cares for. As far as politicians go, he's kind. He's a nice person. And then he just also has a very high level of integrity. I mean, it's his own personal integrity of what he thinks is right and wrong. Again, not necessarily lawful, which isn't always what you're looking for in a sheriff. But that is what I'm looking for in a friend.
Okay. I personally love Keith Mars. But he is not my, he would not have been my pick. My pick is President Josiah Bartlett, aka Jed Bartlett from The West Wing. Possibly not my oldest pick, but that's only because I was convinced not to do Moana's.
His grandmother time and time again.
Just rears her.
Casey's gonna try. Like, was she
beautiful.
elected to be the grandmother on this island?
We're gonna talk about her every time.
Yeah, like her son's the king. Does that count?
I mean, though, really though, yeah.
He's the chief. Yeah.
Good point. So, President Jed Bartlett, for those who haven't watched West Wing, he is basically everything in a president that a 1990s, early 2000s Democrat would want. And it kind of holds true in a lot of ways today. He is very smart. He is very professorial in the way he goes about running his White House and the way he goes about running his staff and the way he goes about running his life. I'm not going to go dig it too deeply into the overall plot. It's just he is a president because his best friend, Leo McGarry, convinced him one day that he would be the best person to be president. And I think, even though I am by no means Leo, that's sort of the friendship that I based this all off of. Like, me choosing him as the best friend because there is a time during that you find out that Leo has a very tough background. He is a recovering alcoholic. Him and his wife have issues. And time and again, the president makes time to sit down and talk to him and talk him through it and give him that tough love when needed. And I guess I sort of like did it backwards. Those are the traits that I think would make him a good friend.
Started with it.
I started with it. Sorry, y'all. I'm in Texas. Can you tell? I'm saying y'all.
You've changed.
Now, Casey, why are you head to toe in cow leather right now?
Yeah,
like, everything
weird.
Is that a 10-gallon hat?
That
Do
looks
they
like a
make bigger than
20-gallon
10
hat to me.
I don't know. It just seems like it's hard to wear.
It is hard to wear. It's covering my eyeballs right now. I can't even see. I can't even read my notes.
You should have written your notes inside your hat. What were you thinking?
Oh, that would have been wild. I would have taken the hat off and had it all across my forehead. I don't know why the pen would run that much, but here we are.
You're just so nervous about debating.
About debating,
Leather's hot, man. Texas is hot. You wear all that leather,
point,
of course
good
you're going to sweat.
Okay, so the weather here has been beautiful. And maybe just because
great.
I'm coming from, like, Florida, where it's
because
still
they get, like, cooler
toasty.
nights there. Mm-hmm. I'm jealous.
All right, so back to Jed Bartlett.
Back to Jed.
Myers-Briggs, he would be ENTJ, or the leader. Rarely intimidated and with a restless desire to achieve and with no problems going against the grain or being very direct with people. Like I said earlier in the episode, I think this is the one time where we're very much choosing people who would be the leader to our sidekick. Or at least that was where I went with it. President Bartlett is rarely intimidated. He gets confronted time and again with people trying to make him, and obviously, like, the president in a lot of ways is a figurehead, but people try to convince him one way or another about who he should support in something, or if he should give up on trying to get a bill passed, or if he should push his staffers to do something that he might not agree with. And time and again, he always stands up for his values. There's a key line, and the thing about Jed Bartlett is he's a devout Catholic. And there's a key line that I fall back on time and again when I think about how this show handled his religious nature with some pretty touchy topics for the time, which unfortunately are still touchy topics today. And they basically said that he was a Democrat on the show, that Republicans wanted to make government so small that it could fit in your bedroom. And yeah, to me that I was like, oh, that was the first time I really like understood ideologies. But President Bartlett is able to step away from that religious aspect that might dictate how he feels about certain topics, and he's like, no, but people are people, and people deserve to love who they want to love or make decisions about their own bodies. I don't necessarily know how much abortion ever really came up in the show because it was in the late 90s.
Does in the intro. So in the very first episode, the pilot, it's definitely in that because I started with the pilot and then I saw the episodes Casey recommended.
Yeah. So I just think he would be an excellent friend to have if I ever needed somebody to like encourage me to do the right thing. Sorting Hat, he would be the most Ravenclaw. Like I said, he is very professorial, and here's what makes him, I think, a good president and a good person. He's very much that reluctant leader, which as anybody who's like really into stories knows, like that's always the best kind of leader, obviously. And I did some reading on the whole Sorting Hat thing because surprisingly, you could find everything between Reddit and Tumblr. You could find all of the things.
Tumblr's on it.
Yeah. As a politician, President Bartlett was both efficient, effective, and yet he managed to not be a horrific person. And that's because he was a Ravenclaw who was championed, pushed, and motivated by two of the most well-intentioned Slytherins around. His wife, Abby, and his best friend and chief of staff, Leo McGarry.
That's where you come in.
Leo.
Because I'm tired of it year after year after year after year, having to choose between the lesser of who cares, of trying to get myself excited about a candidate who can speak in complete sentences, of setting the bar so low, I can hardly look at it. They say a good man can't get elected president. I don't believe that, do you?
You think I'm that man?
Yes.
Doesn't it matter that I'm not as sure?
Act as if ye have faith, and faith shall be given to you. Put another way, fake it till you make it.
They were both there to be like, hey, you have all of these skills. Get your ass out of the classroom and teach the nation something. I personally like learning. I don't necessarily want to be the dumbest person in the room, but I sure as hell don't want to be the smartest person in the room. And no matter what room I was in with President Bartlett, I would not be the smartest person in that room. So D&D alignment, lawful good, next. I don't think there's like any question about that.
There's no debate there, yeah.
Astrology. He was born in 1942. That's all. That's all that's on there, so I just didn't even dive too deep.
Maybe we need to do like the
astrology.
Chinese calendar, like the year of whatever.
Oh
man, that's going to be hard.
When you don't know.
Now I have to guess everyone's age. I know Keith Mars was alive in 78, but I don't know how old he was then.
He'd be the year of the horse, just like me.
Oh.
I'm the year of the horse.
I'm a snake.
I think monkey? You're the monkey?
Monty the monkey. Oh no, we're the monkeys. We're the monkeys.
We are.
Hey, we're the monkeys. Art thou a monkey? For we are also thy monkeys.
Yes. Ooh,
I think that's the formal song of it. Like the first version, the original version.
Does sound
Art
right.
thou a monkey?
Yeah, I think what you guys are referencing is the remix or the cover.
I'm referencing the one that was sung by actual monkeys.
Yes. The ones that wrote Shakespeare?
Yeah.
People born in a year of the horse are extremely animated, active, and energetic. Horses love to be in a crowd, and they can usually be seen on such occasions as concerts, theater performance, meetings, sporting events, and parties.
Yes. Always seeing horses at concerts. I know they mean people that are in the year of the horse, but it does sound hilarious.
Oh, yeah, no.
In Texas, they do. Where Casey is right now, I mean, it is all horses. Half the people there are horses.
Casey's currently riding horseback while recording this.
And in my 10-gallon hat that I cannot see through.
That's why the sound is so weird.
That's why the sound's weird.
That's why our sound is always weird, because we're taming wild horses. You gotta break them. gotta break their spirit and then
build it back up again.
Y'all.
Hopefully.
Isn't that what the movie
I don't know,
was,
but I just
something?
really wanted to turn
About
that around.
How his spirit couldn't be broken.
So
yeah.
I am a gold horse.
Casey's just learning a lot about herself tonight.
I don't know what even
I'm
we're
not
talking about
sure.
anymore. Like,
I'm just
Oh,
looking at
yeah.
these tiny highlights, and it says 1930.
you're still. I thought you just meant like. I think my inner spirit is like a gold horse, you know, like flashy, like knows what it wants and gets it.
Guys, I've had a lot of self-discovery on this podcast already, but not that far. However, Josiah Bartlett is the water horse, sentimental, irritable, reliable, amicable, always ready to help others, and very charming for friends of the opposite sex, which I am.
I mean, Martin Sheen, yeah, you get that. For an older gentleman,
Oh,
he
yeah.
still got it, man.
Hey, we're just friends here.
I mean, friends with benefits.
It just says charming for friends of the opposite sex. Like, Brittany's the one
Oh, yeah.
making it dirty.
I'm not making it dirty. You don't know if this is dirty. It's going to be a beautiful moment between me and Bartlett, okay? I don't know why you have to say
Amorous.
it's dirty. This is pure,
Is that better?
loving. You don't understand what we have, okay? We are two souls intertwined now.
I don't want to stand in the way of your of what you got going on over there.
Andy will understand. It's the president, okay?
But yeah, that's Jed Bartlett, and
You good on Jed?
I'm good on Jed.
That's Jed Bartlett, and that's Casey.
Yeah, that's why Casey would be Casey's best friend.
As we have always come to at the end of every episode, we vote Casey as the best friend, ignoring all of our
I feel like at least in 3 of our episodes we have talked about like me becoming a better friend with myself.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm down.
And in last episode, we talked about you being the best ghost friend.
Oh, right. Yep, that too.
Oh, sorry, in an outtake.
Can you run for governor of Texas? And then we can vote you for this too.
She'd have to be fictional, though.
Even though the hat that I am wearing right now is big, it's nowhere near as big as the governor's hat that he was wearing yesterday when he said play ball. That was a big fucking hat.
I have no idea who the governor of Texas
Greg
is.
Abbott.
I barely know what the governor of my own state is.
I wish I didn't know what
Pretty
the
sure it's
governor
Jared
of my own state
Polis,
is.
but don't quote me on that.
We won't.
I moved here less than a year ago. I feel like that's
Yeah,
not
you're fine.
on me.
Yeah,
to not
you're
know
still
who
in
my
like
governor
the
is.
grace period of not knowing who your governor is.
I just registered to vote. I'm just getting ready for it.
You
Like,
registered to vote after the election?
I mean,
So
I did
silly,
it
Brittany.
yesterday. I totally meant I did it there. I'm the governor now. I was elected. This wasn't even a year for it. It was really wild. It was wild.
Impressive. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Guys, so at one point there is an episode where President Bartlett calls the Butterball hotline, and he says, if I cook it inside the turkey, is there a chance I could kill my guests? I don't know what he was referring to, but I just think that it needs to be mentioned that President Bartlett is willing to take time out of his very busy schedule as the president and made Thanksgiving dinner for his guests.
He has like a gourmet chef.
I'd
I
rather
feel
have
like
the gourmet
that's
chef.
rude to your guests. I know, me too. Like, are you seriously depriving me of a fucking gourmet chef so that you can burn a freaking turkey? Like, come on, President. Don't you have better things on your hands right now?
He realized that these things were small and insignificant, but he wanted them done correctly anyway because he wanted everything done correctly.
What's the correct way if you gotta call the Butterball hotline? You've messed up somewhere.
I think he messed up by never cooking a turkey prior to that, maybe.
That's probably okay. Yeah. Well, I can get into that later. That sounds like a
I'm primed, but also I'm very excited to talk about my champion today because I get to champion one of my favorite fictional characters of all time. I've picked Leslie Knope from Parks and Recreation as my best elected friend. So if you don't know, for most of the show, Leslie Knope served as the deputy director of the Pawnee Parks and Rec Department, but she's also elected into at least 2 political offices and an implied another office. But the main one we see her run for and then also serve a term in is the city councilor of Pawnee. So she's got a lot of friends, but her best friend very clearly is Ann Perkins, who originally in the pilot episode comes to a city council meeting with a complaint and was also not the biggest fan of local government. But then the two of them became basically inseparable, and they've got a very cute friendship. Leslie gives Anne a bunch of unique and adorable
and overwhelming
compliments. Overwhelming compliments, nicknames, whatever you want to say it, to the point where it's a commonly referenced part of the show. And then another thing that's kind of outlived the show is the concept of Galentine's Day, which is the day before Valentine's Day, a time to get together with your lady friends, celebrate ladies being ladies. And that originated with Parks and Recreation. I had to check to be sure, but it did. And of course, the character that's credited with creating it in Parks and Rec is Leslie.
What's Galentine's Day? Oh, it's only the best day of the year. Every February 13th, my lady friends and I leave our husbands and our boyfriends at home, and we just come and kick it breakfast style. Ladies celebrating ladies. It's like Lilith Fair, minus the angst. Plus frittatas.
And then, so she's very thoughtful. She gives a lot of very personalized gifts, not just on Galentine's Day, but on birthdays, on basically any gift-giving occasion that you could possibly be like, maybe I could give a gift to somebody. She's giving you a gift. And speaking of birthdays, her birthday is January 18th, making her a Capricorn. And while some of the traits I do think match her, like Born Leader, I think Brittany, you mentioned that for Sheriff Mars. But also there were some traits that I didn't think really matched up. Like one of them was that it takes a while to open up to people. I don't really think that
that's not
considering
Leslie.
that like her and Anne were already very close purely because of Leslie at the end of the first episode. Yeah, I don't think that it takes her a while to warm up to people. I think she has the opposite issue. And then Hogwarts House was super easy for me because Leslie has said on the show that she is a Gryffindor, and she also admits to paying some online site to get a wand and a Hogwarts diploma. And also she majored in potions somehow, which I didn't know you could do at Hogwarts, but okay.
Real fast, what would you major in?
Magizoology, obviously.
Transfiguration.
Yeah, I was thinking charms seem the most useful, honestly. Charms are a defense against the dark arts.
I just love the magical creatures.
I would just want to spend...
Divination would be good if it was real.
I would want to spend as much time as possible with Minerva McGonagall.
Yeah, I would want to spend as much time as possible with Newt Scamander.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. Now we're time traveling also. Cool.
Hey, this is...
I mean, it's a fictional place. We could go anywhere, space-time.
We don't know that Newt's dead.
He was never a professor, was he?
No, but he was roughly the same age as Minerva.
A textbook that is used at the school.
I know that Luna Lovegood supposedly marries his grandson.
Oh, I don't know why I didn't know that.
I don't know. Wizards' timelines or like age spans do not make any sense. But
as for Myers-Briggs, I think she is an ENFJ, which is known as the protagonist.
That sounds oddly on the nose.
Right? But it's described as enthusiastic, caring, organized. She's very organized. Idealistic, very idealistic. And also that they value connections with people. D&D alignment, also easy, lawful good. She does not very much like breaking the rules. She has on occasion, but mostly she doesn't. And if she does, she gets very upset at herself. And if anybody's going to get her in trouble, it's going to be herself. She's definitely a rule follower. So as far as like traits that I think make her a best friend, I know she does have flaws. She can be over enthusiastic. She can get a little ahead of herself. But generally she tries to be like the absolute best friend possible. I think throughout the show she grows into a better and better friend. And that is easily seen like throughout the seasons. She's just constantly growing. And I think that there are tons of moments I could have chosen to portray her being a good friend. But one of my absolute favorites was in an episode where she talks to Anne's then boyfriend, Mark Brandanowitz, about proposing to Anne on a telethon, but then finds out right after that conversation that Anne actually wants to break up with Mark. And then when Mark starts to come on stage, Leslie, who is very tired at this point because she has pulled an all-nighter before pulling an all-nighter for this telethon, pulls her pants down in front of a camera in order to avoid an awkward moment for both her friend Anne and her friend Mark. Because she starts with both of them.
She is the only reason that awkward moment would have happened.
Are we already in debate? Has this already started?
I'm not done with the cute moment. So she sacrifices her own self-image in order to correct something that could have been caused by her. I mean, Mark was looking for a way to do it already, and he wanted a way to make it special.
Yeah, the most public way.
I'm on Casey's side. He asked Leslie if she thought this was a good idea. And Leslie said, oh, yeah.
And she did think it was a good idea.
She is ready for this.
And she did think Anne was ready for this. Anne had not told her before this that she was not ready for this.
Hey, if Andy ever asks me if he should re-propose to Brittany, I'm going to, call Brittany first and be like, hey, should Andy re-propose to you?
Once again, she gets ahead of herself sometimes, but when she realizes that a mistake has been made... She pulls her pants down in front of a camera.
Right, yeah. Only way to go about that.
She was very tired. I would like to reiterate, she pulled an all-nighter before all these things happened. But then, after the show is over, after she is gone for a very long period of time without sleep, she goes over to Anne's house to ask if she wants to talk because she wasn't available to talk during the telethon too much and wanted to go home and get some sleep, and ends up listening to the whole story, all of why Anne was not feeling it with Mark, why she wanted to break up, and then proceeds to fall asleep on Anne's couch for at least 22 hours. And I think that that's really sweet I think that she's oftentimes sacrificing her own well-being for her friends or to make any situation better. And the telethon was for charity, so it's not like it was some selfish reason that she was holding this telethon. It wasn't to get her into office or anything. It was just a selfless reason to be holding it in the first place. So even though she can be misguided at times in a very comedic way on a comedy show...
Okay, here's the thing. I knew...
Rebuttal.
Go for it.
You are picking the person in the comedy show, and therefore all of that is a moot argument of saying she is doing it in a comedic way in a comedy show is not a good argument given that you are picking that character. Leslie, I recently watched all of Parks and Rec for the first time. I paused it at least half a dozen times to say, I have no idea why Sarah loves Leslie Knope so much. Because
that is bonkers to me, but also...
Yeah, wait, what?
I understand that she is
Brittany, think that is bonkers to not understand why Sarah loves Leslie Knope.
One time I took a test on...
This is what I don't understand.
BuzzFeed or something.
This is what I don't understand. I would much rather Ann Perkins get Ann Perkins as that result than Leslie Knope. I understand why...
It's so boring.
Don't say that to Leslie.
Right.
I would never.
She's a beautiful land mermaid. What are you talking about?
Leslie is so overwhelming. You see time and again, both her husband and her best friend get exhausted by having to live up to the standard that Leslie sets. Also...
But she never expects them to live up to that standard.
Doesn't matter. Because she's giving so much of herself, you feel the need to give back. That's what stresses me out so much about her.
It's hard to have an unbalanced friendship. Even if it's the other person doesn't care. You've now made people feel uncomfortable by, well, now I have to give you a gift. Because now I'm a bad
Leslie
friend.
will take the smallest gift and she will feel the way that you feel about an amazing gift.
But you don't feel the same way about... So Leslie also takes just as much pleasure in giving the gift. And you cannot... replicate that. Now you instead are feeling only guilt and stress and anxiety because you know your gift. It's like if somebody gave you a car and you're like, well, I found this eraser. It's half used. I chewed on it a little bit, but I mean, I have it on my person. Do you want that? When you guys play Animal Crossing, when you give one of the villagers a gift and they're just like, wow, I can't let you go away empty-handed. Here, you want this garbage I found in my pocket? I guess.
Sure. Now
here's this jester's costume I've given you for 5 times before now.
Right?
Right. I have so many chef's costumes. Why do I have to wear a costume as a chef?
So here's my thing with Leslie. I'm going to take back. I understand why you like Leslie. I understand why as a character she's good. I understand all of that. I do not understand being her friend would be the most stressful thing in my entire life, I think. Because she's always giving 100%.
I think it would be exhausting.
And
she's giving more than 100% half the time. She sleeps like 4 hours.
3.5.
Yeah, you're making it better.
Well, I can't just let that fact go unchecked.
Like, a relationship needs to add up to 100%. Like, each person needs to be putting in enough to that. In total, you're putting in 100% into the relationship. If she's putting in 110% and saying, like, oh, no, it's fine, you don't have to put any in, like, then I feel like a terrible human being. I get nothing.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a partnership. It feels like she's throwing friendship at you and you're playing dodgeball. You try to catch what you can. You try to dodge what's too much, thrown too hard. But then sometimes you just get hit.
I see your point. However...
No, I love Leslie now, too.
Yeah, I don't see this as much of a problem as you guys do. Just because I've seen, while they get overwhelmed at some points, I get overwhelmed at everything at some points. And also, I think that both Anne and Ben have their own flaws that lead to them being overwhelmed. So, I don't know. I think that...
Imagine being April.
I'd rather have a friend that's really amazing at being a friend that makes me feel like I could be a better friend than a friend that doesn't feel like they are... Like, I'd rather have extra than less.
Personally, I would rather just balance.
Yeah, I would rather a balance.
I don't want to feel like I'm the shitty friend of the group. Like, that does make me feel bad that, like, if I'm the one putting in the least effort. And if I'm still giving all that I can, but I see everybody else, like, I don't know how you have time for all this. Like, I'm still, like, I'm not saying I'm decided one way or another. It's just I do think Leslie's flaws are glaring. I think her positives are also amazing. I think she has very high highs and very low lows.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think that of all of our picks, Leslie has the biggest pros and the biggest cons.
Biggest cons, for sure.
I
don't think I could be Anne. I could not see myself in Anne's position.
I think I could be better than Anne.
Mm-mm.
See, but now you're like competing with Leslie on who is going to give the most gifts, and now that's arms race.
I don't want to compete with Leslie.
This is the Cold War now.
But I want her in my life. I want her in my corner. I want her as a best friend. Because even like I think that it depends on your temperament, how you're going to be with Leslie. Because April, she very rarely ever feels like, oh, I should be giving Leslie something.
Okay, no.
She pushes back constantly on the friendship.
She pushes back, and also think about how awfully she felt when Leslie was handing her 10-year plan binder without asking April what she wanted from life, without asking any of it. Handed her 10-year plan in a binder, and April then had to tell her friend and mentor that this is not what she wanted, and she was terrified. I don't want to be friends with somebody I'm terrified of.
Yeah, but also I think that in the show, the characters don't learn that they can tell Leslie, if they say straight up, like, this is too much, she stops. Because every episode where that's the arc, it's they don't say anything, they feel bad, and you see them feeling bad about it, and then at the end they say something.
April says something, and Leslie gets mad. In that episode, Leslie gets mad at her for abandoning her, and then they make up, and Leslie apologizes. But April was right to be afraid in that situation, because the way Leslie reacted at first was exactly how she thought. I just think
having a friend around in the end,
it was very quickly, if I remember correctly. It was like next day, right?
Well, yes, it was done in a 24-minute episode.
No,
but they could say like
next day.
Yeah, a week later or whatever.
7 years later, time skip again.
I just feel like because all we have to look at Leslie is other flawed characters, like knowing how Leslie is as a friend, I know that no matter what I do to upset her, she's still going to be my friend because that's who she is.
Yeah.
And so even if she comes at me with a 10-year plan and I feel a little weird at first and I'm like, hey, this isn't what I want, and she's mad at first, I know that we're going to be friends at the end of it. And that's the kind of friend that I want.
No, I think she's a great give and take.
Good at her elected offices, and that's
true.
Part of this, and really nice.
I think that she is good eventually at taking criticism. Like, I just understand Casey's points.
I definitely think she's worse at the beginning.
It would be overwhelming.
I think that the April episode is the worst that she is at the end, like towards the end of the show.
Well, her and Ron too. I hate that arc. I don't even want to.
I like to pretend like that arc didn't happen. Honestly,
it's the worst arc of the end.
But it did.
Yeah. And then I also always start
and
watching on like season 3 when Ben and Chris come in.
That's exactly when I start watching. Well, sometimes I watch the beginning ones.
I would be Retta. I'd be not Retta. Sorry, that's the actress who plays Donna. Like as Donna.
Donna's great.
Donna is excellent. Donna is also enough in Leslie's world that she gets a lot of the benefits of having Leslie in her corner, but she doesn't have the same level of pressure as, say, being
But
Anne
is it possible that it's
being
because
April.
Donna is much clearer about what she wants?
Her boundaries.
Yeah, her boundaries.
So I mean, there's the whole arc also when she and Ben broke up, and she wants to still be friends with Ben, even though they've decided they can't be friends anymore.
Oh,
and they can't be lovers anymore. And she's like, but I can't lose you from my life, and I'm trying to tell you it is way too hard to be around you, not romantically. It hurts me that we do this, and I don't want to be hurt anymore. And then she constantly keeps trying to find reasons for them to do it until he blows up at her. So she doesn't always take the hint. Sometimes she has to be screamed at, or not if really screamed at, but emotionally screamed at. Mm-hmm. She does promise to get better, but my favorite, like, bring back Harry Potter when Anne is talking about, like, you are kind of a steamroller. I mean, you made me watch all 8 Harry Potter movies. Yeah. No, but you love Harry Potter. You've seen all 8 movies. Like, that's what I said, right?
That scene, in a nutshell, is why, because, like, Brittany is a good example of a friend who can lead you to water and then allow you to choose if you want to drink. Brittany is so good about, like, bringing up all different types of content and media that she thinks I would enjoy. And in fact, she knows I will enjoy it. She has spent years hammering in to me that I needed to listen to My Brother, and Me. But it was always very much like, oh, have you listened to it yet? Oh,
I would like to point out that I also tried to get you several times to listen to My Brother, and Me after we met.
But I was successful. I don't know.
I tried to get everybody in my club to listen to it.
Guys, I think it was more that you guys got me to listen to Adventure Zone, and then that's the order I went. But you got me to listen to My Dad Wrote a Porno after, like, you and Depression did that.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, also, I was having a problem because I was trying to listen to it at the office and, like, nope, can't do that. Thought it'd be fine. Definitely not fine. I thought it was because it's a parody. It'd be okay. It's not really a parody.
No. So I think that part of the issue is the fact that it isn't a comedy. And so all of her flaws are highlighted and all of her like her positive attributes are highlighted, but it would just be a stressful friendship that I would never feel like I deserve to be her friend. And that is not a situation I ever want to be in.
You don't want a friendship to make you feel small.
Right. I just think that the positive times far outweigh the negative times in the friendship.
There's another Anne quote where I don't remember exactly the situation, what they're talking about, but Anne saying, like, oh, I ate so much, I had to eat half of the cake because Leslie needed somebody to take the heat off her because she ate the other half of the cake. So she needed people to see that we're both eating so much ridiculous amounts of cake. And like, but why would you do that? Because I would eat 100 cakes for Leslie. She is such a good friend that I'm happy to make these kind of sacrifices to her. I just don't know if personality-wise I'm an Anne.
But could you be any of her other very good friends? Because, like, it's not like Anne is her only
best.
We're talking about best
but Leslie's level of friendship is, like, almost always at best friend status.
Everybody is best friend.
Yeah,
like her and Ron are best
Swanson,
friends.
Like, even though she'll always call Anne her best friend, who do you think Ron Swanson's best friend is?
Ron Swanson.
If he had to pick somebody that's not himself.
I'd probably, it's Leslie for sure. But I want to get into some of the relationships on West Wing too, because I think that has also the added complications of the fact that everybody literally works
they all work for him.
Yeah.
So that's why I said Leo, because Leo didn't work for him when they became friends. Leo saw something in a friend and then said, I will work for you.
Yeah. Mrs.
So that's why I think Leo...
Landingham
also
didn't work for him originally.
Right.
would you
I
make
know.
me watch that episode? I watched the very first pilot episode, and I'm like, I already picked out who my favorite person of this show is. And then the very next episode Casey has us watch is her death. Like, why would you do this to me? At least Gus from Psych is on here now.
Yes, had no idea. I was so excited when he was on it.
It's Captain Vic, or Police Chief Vic is also young Mrs. Landingham, where I'm like, this is like a Psych reunion, except it hasn't happened yet. So I was super into it. Yeah, this is just, I guess, happening.
a union
We're watching.
At that point.
This is the forming of something beautiful.
Here's my thing. I think President Bartlett would be one of those friends where you do not have to be in contact daily or weekly. But when you guys get back together, it'll be just like nothing ever changed. It'd be a very low maintenance friendship.
It doesn't sound like a best friendship, though.
Some of my best friend, I speak to her. I mean, I've known her since I was 2. We could go weeks or months without checking in. But then when I check in or when I go to stay with her, it's almost like family.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say anything negative about your best friendship, but if I could pick what my best friendship would be, it would be somebody that I would talk to more frequently. I mean, of course, I want them to feel like family
Casey's
as well.
Trying to say is if we don't speak for a few months, we can still pick up like nothing has happened.
Right.
Like we'll catch up, but our relationship it's unfazed. It is the same as
because
it was.
There's so much history there that I could say one thing and she could know exactly why it triggered whatever reaction it triggered in me. So I don't need to filter in day to day about what's happening. And I feel like I could have that kind, because I have best friends other than this particular one that I've known since I was 2. I consider the two of you guys some of my best friends. I talk to you guys almost daily.
Shut up.
So
no,
I don't. But
it's a tier.
Like
best friend is tier. We've already established this.
Right.
It's not the best friend.
Like,
it's a tier of best friend.
Right. So like Jess happens to be on that tier of best friends and has been there the longest. But there have been times where like we didn't see each other for over a year. But when we get back together, like I crawl into bed with her mom, and her 2 sisters. I think Jed Bartlett would be the best friend out of the 3 of us, but also like Keith Mars is pretty dope and he's an awesome father.
I think Keith Mars is the easiest one to chill with. Like he is going to put the least amount of pressure on you as a friend, as well as a political person. Like you're not going to have the paparazzo following you anywhere near the same amount.
The singular
no.
paparazzo.
Well, in Leslie Knope's world, what's her name? Shauna
Malwae-Tweed.
Yeah.
Yes. Keith Mars, he's the guy you could just order in pizza and you're just going to watch. You can just watch movies. He's going to fall asleep on the couch at some point, probably.
I think as far as chillin', he does win that category. I think that I would like a friend that gets more like pumped about some events sometimes, which I, to be fair, have only seen the first season, a little bit of the second season, and then the 10th episode of the second season. I'm not sure if there's like more that displays him in not just a like chill friendship capacity, but like a fun go out. But it's weird because he's a dad, and I understand that like he was not really gonna be like going out with his daughter, which is who you see him the most with.
He
obviously.
goes on dates with Wallace's mom at some point. Like he does like kind of sneak around a little bit, so you know he's down for kind of fun shenanigans.
They go to Chicago.
Yeah. Like he wants to travel. It's more just that they don't really have the money for it. That's kind of a conflict in the show, is that they are a little bit struggling. But I think just like a sense of humor, I think is real great. I think that's really on par with what I'm looking for, is somebody who is going to tell you all about Casey's leather hat that she's wearing right now and just go on with it. Or who's just gonna like make fun of, like he can give as well as he can take. It's we're all teasing each other all the time. None of it's ever mean. Anytime it comes to a serious issue, he is gentle about it. At one point, somebody sends an anonymous letter with a picture of Veronica leaving a women's clinic, telling, like, with a note saying that she had an abortion. And he sits her down and just asks, is there anything going on in your life that you want to talk to me about? I'm here. And she's like, no. And he shows her this, and he's like, if you're being safe, like and she's, oh no, I was there for a case. That's definitely not why I was there, but it's kind of gross that somebody is trying to blackmail me or trying to hurt me in this fashion. And then they have a talk about what they think morally is right or wrong or whatever, but the way he handles it. I think a lot of times on TV shows when a father's protective, I think sometimes it comes off as gross, where it's more about like, I must protect my daughter's purity. And it's like, why? Like, are we really talking...
I'm a father with a daughter.
Am I a possession? Am I not a human
Brittany,
being
all
who's
women are
growing and
possessions.
changing?
Yeah, I definitely think he's one of the best, like, parental figures in basically any... Because I think that a lot of times when it's focused on the child, like in a show or something, and they have parents that are also in the show, they're usually just not either terrible parents or very overbearing parents. And, like, there's no in between.
Yeah, he tries to set rules and regulations while still giving her freedom and understanding that, look, we are kind of struggling financially. I do need your help with things, but your classes and schooling is definitely the number one priority. So I'm going to be a father when I need to be a father, but when you need to be a friend or when you need to be a lending, like an ear you need to just like vent to, I'll be here for that. So I think he's pretty chill. Just does not put the pressure on the same way. But
I can vote because I do know who I'm voting for. And while I do think that the Keith Mars is very close to getting it for me, I can't not vote for Leslie. I just love her so much.
I know.
And I don't even care about winning. I'm just really happy I got to champion Leslie Knope because I just love her. The end.
All right, Casey,
Brittany?
you want to go?
No.
You don't want to go yet? I am having a really hard time between, honestly, your two picks. I do really like Keith Mars, and honestly, I think he would probably be the best level of friend for my lifestyle. But if we're talking about for best politician, like I'm in their world now, they're not in my world. In my world, I think Keith Mars is the best because I'm not sure I'm going to get flown out to DC all the time or Indiana, because you're not getting me to Indiana unless it's like to a city. I'm not going to Pawnee.
Okay, I lived in Indiana for 2 years. Oh, it was Indianapolis.
I'm so sorry. Oh, Indianapolis. I mean, like, I would go to
really
a bigger
loved
city.
it, actually. I was very pleasantly surprised with how much I liked Indianapolis.
I grew up in not a city, so I want to be in cities now. But I got to go with Jed. I think I got to go with Jed.
I gotta go with Jed, too.
That's why I was saying
I thought you were gonna
last.
vote for...
I was obviously gonna be the decider.
I thought that Casey was gonna vote for Mars.
Oh, you thought it was gonna be another round robin?
Oh no, I thought that I thought that you guys were both gonna vote for Mars. He ended up being the one that didn't get any vote. I was like this close to voting for him.
So I agree with Brittany on all the points. That, I think
I'm in their fictional world.
Keith Mars would be the best friend. Right. So Keith Mars would be the best friend for my lifestyle, but also I don't necessarily consider him a politician. I consider him
he's a guy who had been a politician.
Right.
He's a guy who participated in a political race because of what he wanted to do, as opposed to somebody who, like, even though Jed Bartlett didn't necessarily want to run for president, he was already a congressperson, he was already a governor, like he had been involved in politics, so kind of sticking to that. But yay, we've all won one, guys.
Huzzah, huzzah.
All right, outro time.
Alrighty. Well, thank you so much for listening. We'd love to hear who you would pick for your best elected friend.
Leave us a comment on Instagram or tweet directly at us. Both of those are podcast_BFF.
And if you want to support our campaign to be the best podcast around, you can find our Patreon at patreon.com/bestfictionalfriendspodcast. You could also just go ahead to bestfictionalfriendspodcast.com and click donate.
If you enjoyed this, please tell your friends, real or fictional, to check us out.
It'd be great if you could rate and review us on iTunes. It's very helpful.
We'll be right back here to help you rationalize more of your real-life feelings for fictional friends, Wednesday, November 18th.
For Best Fictional Friends, I'm Sarah Freshley.
I'm Casey Goldstein.
And I'm Brittany Weisler. See you next time. All friends welcome.
You guys are beautiful land mermaids.
Oh, and if anybody wants to find out more about why I'm in Texas or why I'm rushing around and forcing us to like wrap things up, just follow me on Instagram at _CaseyTaylor_, and you shall probably figure it out.
Self-promotion, but okay.
We're doing a podcast, guys.
Yeah, I would also do self-promotion if I ever put
Fair.
anything on my Instagram. My book one.
My self-promotion is, can you please listen to my podcast?
Please.
Like, I put it out every 2
Please.
weeks. Please, guys. I really want you to
All right.
tell me what you think.